Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the second edition this week of the Heavy Metallurgy Album Club. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Marty. Good to see y'all. Thanks for joining us. Got a new cast of characters for tonight, which I think the other guys had a sigh of relief on this one. But Mike, it's good to see you. Good to see Chloe. What's been happening with you?
She's actually mad at you because you called her the wrong name.
Uh-oh, what's her name?
Zoe. You were close, man. You were
close. She couldn't have been able to tell. I'm sure it's fine.
Well, she could tell. She definitely tell. She's like, fuck this, I'm leaving.
That guy's dumb. I'm out of here. Yep. So, what's been happening over on your channel? I know the videos are few and far between these days, but they're always welcome when they do hit.
Yeah, I've been pretty slack. I've had a mid-year best of video that's been sitting around for, I don't know, maybe a month. So maybe, I mean, we're already past mid-year, I guess. I don't even know if there's a point in fucking uploading it, but I guess I'll still do it at some point. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna get it together at some point.
Right on. Well, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. You were involved with the last album's discussion, so it seemed right to have you back for this one as well. Jimmy,
thanks for having me.
What's been going on? How are you? Big doings over at the Future Ruins site with the Bigfoot video. Welcome, and glad that happened.
For sure, guys. Thanks for inviting me on this one. I'm excited to talk about the record. Yeah, things going well. It's well into the summer, and just trying to get out as much as possible and make it count, you know?
Right on. And Alan, you're not used to doing these shows these days either. How you been?
Doing okay. Just another sort of busy week, but getting along, doing what we can. Happy to be back for a sort of album club special edition.
Right on. Yeah, and we've gathered here today to discuss the 17th proper full-length album from Hamburg, Germany's Helloween. And for those of you who may not know about it, Helloween is a German power metal band founded in 1984 in Hamburg by members of bands Iron Fist, Gentry, Second Hell, and Powerful. The band has at times been called one of the most influential European heavy metal bands of the 80s. And that's really, we're going to leave it at. We'll get into talking about who's in the band and all the stuff later on. But if you watch this show, you're probably very familiar with, or hopefully familiar with, Helloween.
If you haven't succumbed to our Clockwork Orange-like treatment of Helloween by this point, you know, you must be new.
Hey, Tip fam, thanks a bunch for that. And cheers. Rest in peace, Ozzy, for sure. We're going to be talking about him tomorrow night a bunch. So
yeah,
get ready for that.
Friday night's stream is going to be dedicated to remembering Ozzy.
Yeah. But what we do here, we've got a little outline we follow, and I guess we're going to start with the first impression. And we're going to start with Mike.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. Okay, first impressions of the album. I really like it. I think it's great. But I'm not in love with it the way I fell in love with the last album. I feel like, and I don't remember what I said when we actually reviewed it, so hopefully I'm not totally contradicting myself, but from what I remember really, really loving that album the second I hit play, and every song just being like, God, this is fucking great. This is great. This is great. This one, it hasn't done it yet. I really like it. I think the playing is great. Songs are great, but there's something magical about that last one that I'm missing with this one. And right before the stream, I think it clicked what it is, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
All right. Jimmy, first impression.
Well, I mean, I've listened to the album quite a bit by this point, having sat on it for a couple weeks now. But I guess my first impression in terms of the first full listen of the album, I instantly liked it a lot. I kind of echo with Mike that like it didn't like instantly blow me away like the self-titled did, but I definitely really, really liked it. And then there was 3 or 4 tracks that I really loved right off the bat. And then the rest of it was kind of like, okay, I definitely like it, but it's going to take a few listens for me to kind of really form an opinion on the record. You know, so that was the first impression. But as I listened more, it grew and grew and grew, and I came to really, really, absolutely love this record. But we could talk about that. But my first impression was that it wasn't as immediate as a hit as the first week. I mean, the stars all aligned on that self-titled record in terms of just the level of earworm on that thing, and just every single song just blew you away immediately. This one, it definitely feels like, my first thought was that, like, okay, like now they're kind of well into the reunion phase of it with all the, the Pumpkins unite. And now they're kind of like, maybe like we had talked about, like they're doing what they just really want to do. Like they don't really have anything to prove as the supergroup at this point. Now they can kind of take it and go where they want with it. So I felt like, in a lot of ways, it almost sounded to me like a lot of the pressure was off in a way for the next record. And that kind of comes through in the music.
Alan.
Well, Helloween's a big deal for me, obviously. I've done the math. They're a top 10 favorite band of all time. They made my favorite album of all time. And 2 of their other albums would probably be in my top 50 of all time, maybe even the top 25. So yeah, when a Helloween album comes out, that gets my attention. So first reaction to the new album, first impression.
Oh no!
Not even close.
Oh, that's good.
Shades of explosive action, because the internet needs some drama from time to time. It's such a quiet place. I thought I'd liven it up just a tad. First impression was there's some really good songs on this album, but there are also some really subpar songs on this album that are going to hold it down. That was my first impression at the end of playing the album one time, giving it my full attention.
Yeah.
Marty, you might have a different impression than I did.
No, I mean, my first spin of this, I went into this saying, "Oh, I have no preconceived notions, or I have nothing I want out of this record." I figured, I knew that it was going to be good because it has to be. They're not going to put out a crap record. And when I listened to it for the first time, I was a little surprised at myself that I did have some preconceived things that I was looking for here. And I'm with Alan. There's a couple songs initially that are kind of like, ooh, I knew they were going for an easier listen this time. They thought that the last album, they were going out to prove shit. They had a ton of solos. It was the songs were very dense and layered, complex and long. I mean, it's a very long album. And that album too, I had to listen to a bunch before it finally clicked. Like the 5th time through, I'm like, I loved some songs initially up front, which I do with this new album as well. But I had to spin the last one a bunch to finally understand what was happening. And once I did, I couldn't stop. And this has happened the exact same way. And I think I might know what Mike is going for here, so I'm not going to rain on it too much. It took me a couple minutes. Well, I'll say we might think different things, but I think the production is great, but I don't think it sounds like a power metal record. It sounds like a fucking rock record. It's massive, dude. The sound is huge. And there's some other little things they do, what we'll talk about here, that it kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. But I came around on it, and I can't stop listening to it. I need to put it down because I spent a lot of money pre-ordering shit for this thing between me and my kid. So I need to save it. Now that we're going to get this out of the way, I need to save it so I can enjoy it when the record comes. But yeah, a question I threw out for this is a little wordy, a lot of words for a very little payoff. So bear with me. Metal largely cherishes its legacy bands. Such bands could ride on the strength of their back catalogs, but the only true measure of a band is the here and now, in my opinion, anyway. New material. Can you create an album that maybe doesn't hang with the potency of your younger years, but is in the same conversation enough to please the fans you have nurtured for decades? Helloween, in my opinion anyway, seemed to be one of the waning few in their class that still possess the chops and the fire when it comes to new music. They created the European power metal genre and sound as we know it back in 1987. How do you think they are representing or moving the genre forward in 2025, if at all? We'll start with Jimmy on this one.
This is multiple choice, right, Morty?
You got more cards you want to rip up?
Maybe.
I think it's a good question, and it's definitely something I was thinking about quite a bit. Getting into this record. I mean, I'll kind of just preface this with the fact that I absolutely love this record. It's sunk its teeth in me so hard after about 5 listens.
It's crazy,
and we can get into that a little bit more later, but I think it does really apply here because you can especially attribute that to the self-titled, the last record, and coming from me, who is a relative newcomer to Helloween. I didn't grow up with the band. I mean, I've been into metal for 30 years, and for whatever reason, I'm not really a huge power metal guy. I've got like a few bands that I really, really love, like Blind Guardian. There's a handful of others. I dabble a bit, but it's not something I usually go for. And so I think because of that, over the years, and not having anybody like getting me into Helloween, I kind of just never really checked them out. I never really paid attention to them for whatever goofy reason. So I don't come to them until, in the last 5 years, hearing you guys talk about it and finally just deciding, okay, I need to really, really get into this stuff. So, I mean, the self-titled was really, it's not like, wasn't my intro. I had listened to a lot of the older stuff at that point, but was really what's grabbed me and pulled me into the band going further back into the catalog. Sorry to preface that so much, but I think I have to say that because as a relative newcomer to the band and thinking that, they blew my mind with the self-titled record, I think is a testament to the fact that they're, at least for me, I'm sure longtime fans are going to have differing opinions on this, but it does to me sound like they're putting some of the best stuff they've ever done. And I think that that's partly because, I mean, look at what they've done. They've coalesced as this sort of super group with all the different members of the different eras. And, and this, it's not like this is a wholly new thing. I mean, Iron Maiden kind of did it. There's been, I can't think of, there's another band comes to mind that didn't do it very successfully, but they really did. And so, but you do have to kind of look at a lot of these, like, legacy bands. I mean, it's definitely subjective. And I think, I know a lot of people have opinions on Iron Maiden and where they went, on the last 5 records or whatever. But in my own opinion, I don't think they've done anything really that great. And that's just me. That's just my own opinion and my taste. I feel like they tried to become this really like just elaborate prog band, with these 15-minute songs, and it just doesn't work. I mean, as an Iron Maiden fan, I want to hear 4-minute, 5-minute, just anthemic tracks.
The last album was rough. It was rough.
Yeah, and I mean, and don't get me wrong, I do like some of the stuff on those albums, but I mean, hour and a half album from Iron Maiden is just not, go write a 40-minute record and prove to me that you could still write great stuff and then come, with something like that. You can say, Priest is still putting good stuff out. I mean, it's not, as I wouldn't say it's as great as some of their greatest albums, but it's still really, really good stuff. But any of the, if we go into the, the 80s, the thrash stuff, Megadeth, Metallica, Slayer, none of them have put out any really great albums. Anthrax has been doing some good stuff, but in terms of like, Helloween, I mean, like that self-titled was a huge, huge statement. And to me, I would say that it is a rare thing to see a band that has had that sort of longevity, putting out some of the best material that they ever have. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, Marty, but I do think it's a rare thing.
Mike, your thoughts?
I think I agree a lot with what Jimmy was saying. I do think it's rare that you have a band like this that's been able to, first of all, that's been able to put out a couple of absolute turds, but then come back with such good material that the turds just kind of either you ignore them or you even start to kind of think, oh, those turds aren't so bad. But when you sent this question through, I mean, the first band that came to mind for me, at least, was Sodom. I feel like they've been able to like pretty much keep an even keel as far as putting out good records. And their most recent record is actually pretty good. I think the same thing about Destruction. I think they've been able to keep an even keel, and their most recent record is fucking killer.
I need to give it another shot. Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, it doesn't necessarily sound like old Destruction, but it works. It's got great riffs. Vocals are good. It's a good record. But like Jimmy said, you have bands like Slayer who have just, they need to fucking stop. Like, I would rather see those guys working at Starbucks serving coffee than put out any more of these shitty fucking records that they keep doing. But with Helloween, I just think it's cool that they've been able to maintain such a rabid fan base, and then they've been able to come back and put out some of the best work they've ever done. And even though I think a lot of people had pretty high expectations for a power metal band with 3 guitar players and 3 different people singing
that all rip. They're all great guitar players.
Yeah,
too.
they're all incredible guitar players. Yeah. No one's a fucking slouch here.
No.
I think it's impressive that they've been able to maintain those expectations. I can't imagine anybody that's a Helloween fan walking away from any of these past 2 records and just being like, dude, these things suck. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's super impressive.
Alan, what do you think?
Let's see. As far as how do they represent power metal these days, I think Helloween does that fine. They still have their basic, fun personality they've always had, but they have not strayed too far down the silliness path that a lot of power metal has taken in recent years. The guys aren't coming out wearing, opera capes and costumes. And let's face it, Helloween has the predisposition where they could have gone that route and it would have been kind of natural for them to do so, but they haven't. You look at the press photos and the videos, and it's they show up, they do their thing. They're not trying to wear space alien ears or any kind of crap like that. They're not using the typical cheap tricks that a lot of modern power metal bands are. So for that part of your question, I think Helloween is still a very, very solid, representative of power metal, a very good one. For the second part of your question, are they pushing power metal forward as a genre? No, I don't think they are. Helloween is very good at what they do, but I don't think they really innovate anymore. Yes, they started power metal, and thank them for it. It's a genre I've enjoyed for a long time, and I love their work in it. But there's nothing about this album, or even the last album, that really pushes or redefines the genre. The last album, the self-titled, was a really big moment for the genre. That you had this kind of Titan come back with this very unusual lineup combination and release an album to near universal applause. That was a big moment, but not because that album broke new ground, not because it defined a new direction or expanded the boundaries of power metal. It did it simply because it was a Titan coming back and really just putting out a really, really strong kick-ass album. And this album's not pushing power metal in any new direction either. You're right with your comment earlier, Marty. They're doing something a little different sounding with this album, but it's not outside of their wheelhouse, really. And it's certainly not outside the power metal parameters. So no, I don't think they're doing anything to, help power metal move forward whatsoever. They are helping avoid it regress. They're not letting it slide backwards because, they're, staying out of all the bad LARPing tropes that too many bands have fallen prey to. But they're not really pushing things forward as a genre either. Like Mike said, still making extremely good records. And yeah, I don't think any Helloween fan is going to come away from this one thinking, ew, that's terrible. But no one's going to say like, wow, this is the future of power metal either. I don't think the album does that. And I don't think Helloween's been doing that. Even backing up before the self-titled, they were putting out good albums with Andy Darius at the helm by himself. But those albums didn't, push the boundaries of the genre at all. What do you think about it, Marty? How would you answer your question?
Hey, Marty, real quick.
Yeah.
Just realized I didn't answer that part of your question. So the only thing I'm going to throw out there is I agree with every single word that Alan just said. That's all. Your turn.
Right on. And I agree too with what Alan's saying, but I think on this one, I don't know that if you could consider it pushing the genre forward. I think it breaks out of some of the stereotypes of what the power metal genre at large does, like the from start to finish double bass, the galloping double bass. And it seems like a lot of European power metal bands, they kind of locked in on that sound and they don't step out of it very often. This record, there's still a definite speed and power metal foundation, but it just sounds like Helloween wrote the record they wanted to write. They're in their 60s. And what are they influenced by? Rock. I mean, I hear Scorpions on this record. A couple instances I hear, and that to me is fine. I'm an old guy too. I get it. But here, they pace this album a bit different than they did the last one. I mean, there's a little bit more variety. After a couple speed metal-ish tracks, and you've got a more commercial Dara song or the ballad, which, spoiler alert, I think that song fucking rules. Oh my God. It's such a well-composed song, very emotional. But I think what they did different this time is I think they leaned into and embraced their rock side a bit more, which is evident in the production. They have the exact same production team they did last time. And I think the only thing different is they didn't record on tape. They recorded digitally, but I was shocked at how big the album sounds. So is it moving? Is it propelling the genre forward? Probably not. But I think it's a band that sounds very comfortable in their skin, and they're not afraid to tip their hat from where they came from, back to that rock genre. And I ended up liking it quite a bit. Let's discuss the musicality and composition of Giants and Monsters. Jimmy, why don't you go first? You seem eager.
I mean, I would, for me personally, and I kind of missed that part of your question too. It's kind of funny saying, does it push the genre? It's almost kind of like saying, is this thrash band pushing the genre forward? It's like thrash doesn't really get pushed. Thrash is kind of thrash in a way. I mean, you could definitely experiment with it. You could kind of become a hybrid style band. I kind of feel the same way about power metal. In a sense that but and not to say that Helloween is just power metal. I mean, they definitely have the rock side, some of the 80s style stuff. I mean, there's maybe little prog tinges here and there, but I don't think, I mean, it's kind of goofy to say that if there are any bands that are actually pushing the genre forward versus what you're asking about composition and musicality, which is where I think they really knock it out of the park. And I think so, especially on this record. I think these guys, right, their songwriting abilities are really based at a high bar with it, and they actually obviously have a lot of cooks in the kitchen as far as that goes, right? I mean, they got a lot of people writing songs, but they're all great at it, and they all have different things to bring to the band, and I think that makes it interesting. That's what I really like about this record, because I mean, the self-titled was really even though it is a long record, I think, it's pretty much every song is great on it. But it is a lot, and it is all kind of focused around sort of that power and speed. I mean, there's some elements of that rock stuff, but they definitely, that's one of the things I like about this album is the variety in it. I like variety, and that, in anything, when it comes to albums, I like to hear, some different dynamics, different things going on. And so as a result, I think, I mean, we don't really have to say much about the musicality of the band because they're all just brilliant musicians. I mean, they're all impeccable, at their craft, and all the singers, everybody. And there are some things that I would have liked to have heard a little different here and there, but compositionally, I mean, I just think that these guys write such good songs that get stuck in my head. And as I really warmed up to the album and now come to really, really love it, even though I don't know if I quite like it as much as the self-titled, I still think it's a really, really strong album. And I think that, I really like the length of it. I think that it's the perfect length. It's not overdoing it. It's like, here's these, 8 or 9 songs or whatever it is under an hour, and you get through it, and it's easy to just put it right back on again. Every kind of style that they do on here, they do it really, really well. And you find how the personalities shine in that. Now that'll probably come a little later, but I think, compositionally, musically, in terms of musicianship, I mean, it's it's pretty much next to perfect for me.
How about you? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Everybody here is a great musician. Like I said, there are no slouches in this band, so you already know when you turn this on, you're going to get riffs. You're going to get really good riffs. You're going to get solid drumming. I can't really speak to the bass because I don't really pay super close attention to the bass, but I mean, all the singers.
He's a beast. He's a
He is
beast
a
bass
beast?
player. Yeah.
I will 100% take your word on that.
Yeah. Marcus is a hell of a bass player.
But yeah, man, I mean, you know, compositionally with the songs, I don't know that I'm correct. But when I listened to this, one of the things that kept jumping out to me, I kept thinking like, this feels more simple than the last record.
Yeah. Which they said they were striving for that. They wanted it to be a little less overburdened. Yeah.
Because I didn't want that to sound like an insult. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I feel like the last album, there were weird time changes. There were the structure of some of the riffs were kind of weird, but I liked it. I was like, this is really interesting. It's not quite prog or anything like that, but it was interesting how they were doing things a little bit differently. This one feels a bit more straightforward.
Yeah.
And I think that's making it a bit tough for me to really love, because when I put this on, I'm like, well, I've heard you guys do this already a million times. It's great, but I feel like I've already heard this. When I put on that self-titled, I'm like, whoa, no, this is a little new. Like what you're doing with this song, I don't know that I've heard you do this a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But that's not shitting on the songwriting whatsoever. That's not a slight to the composition. I think the compositions are great. I think that there's just not quite enough meat on the bones yet for me to be in love with it. But yeah, man, you're going to hear incredible solos. You're going to hear those crazy sweeping, you're going to hear all that. And it's fucking awesome every time.
Yeah,
every
the twin lead lines that link together. It's such a Helloween trademark, and they do it all over this record. It's great.
And it's so good every time. Every time it's so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't say anything bad about the musicianship or the compositions here, man. They do what they do, and they do it well.
Right on. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a band that's released 17 albums. You don't make 17 albums if you can't write good songs and you're not good musicians. So no one's going to question either of those things. You know, I think so. Yeah, the big thing here is, kind of the composition of these particular songs. And you're right. It's a pretty varied album. And I do appreciate that. I appreciate them trying some different things, not just writing the same song, 9 times and sticking in one oddity. But then there's a question of how do these different types of songs land? And that's where I start to have issues with this one. One thing that sticks out to me compositionally with some of these, and it goes along with what you've said so far, Marty, about it being more of a rock-based album. There's a lot more instances here where like the keyboards, synthesizers, piano sounds, or, while they're not dominating any given song, they have more of a presence. They're more noticeable on this album than they have been. And that comes at the expense of some guitar work. The guitar work on here is, of course, fantastic. Personally, I don't feel there's quite enough of it. For a band with 3 guitarists who were all, real hotshot guitarists, I want, they should be featured more. Some of the solos on here are great, but they're short. And there are some songs where you go through the first half of the song and you don't really have a guitar moment. You have a tinkly keyboard moment. You have a piano following up on the chorus moment. So compositionally, that's one thing that I'm like, this is kind of different. Why have you got, you've got a 3 guitar lineup, and it almost comes across sounding like you've got a 1 guitar lineup at times. Well, the guitar work you've got is great. There should be more given the quantity and the quality of guitar players in the band. So that's one thing that leaves me kind of scratching my head with some of these songs. There were several where I noticed is like, this is really more of a kind of keyboard driven melody happening more often under the song. The other thing is having songs, that are kind of varied in style. You got to be careful how you order the track list. And I think that's a place where this album also runs into some trouble, because you can start to create a very uneven listening experience. If you're going like, fast song, ballad, fast song, medium song, ballad, fast song, ballad, fast song. It's like, it makes it really hard for the album to get a flow developed from song to song to song when you keep jumping styles and when you keep changing tempos that much from track to track to track. Helloween has done this before. This is an issue I've had with some Helloween albums in the past. I actually went through all the old Helloween albums and started trying to pin it down to a lot of it, for me, comes down to like what they do on the third song on the album. That if the third song on the album is helping establish continuity, kind of connects with the first two, leads well into the fourth and fifth tracks, those are the albums that I tend to rank real high for Helloween. And I've noticed that the albums that I tend to push down towards the bottom of the Helloween stack are the ones where the third track feels kind of out of place, where it suddenly lets all the air out of the balloon. And guess what? This is an album where the third track kind of falls a bit flat.
It's not a good song. It's not a great song.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm not saying it's going to, pass a statistical analysis, but, looking back over a lot of Helloween albums, when they do that, it tends to create an uneven experience because you have one or two songs that get you excited, you're moving along, and then the third song's just like, yeah, okay. The fourth song may start to rebound, but by the time you're rebounding, they slip in another track that's like, this one also now is completely different. So that's one of my big issues with the composition of this album. I don't think the track list helps matters whatsoever. I think it's created for someone who really loves all the songs and loves the album. They're going to say that, oh, it's a wonderful, varied experience. And for someone like myself who's not connecting with it that much, we're going to say that it's a very uneven and that they're pulling in too many directions. They both mean the same thing. It's more how you're digesting it. And for me, it feels like they're trying to pull in a few too many directions. And so the album never develops a really strong flow to it, which is something the best Helloween albums are good at doing. So that would be my take for musicality and composition, but eager to hear your thoughts on it, Marty.
It had to the dynamics of the track listing had to gel with me a bit. Like I said, the third track is a little too much, which it's kind of a silly song. And I hear Scorpions. If Klaus Meine was singing on it, I'd be like, it's a Scorpion song, which is cool. But when you've got, two massive tracks before it that lean into the speed a little bit, I can see where your complaints lie there. As far as
sorry to cut in. Having the silly song be third, it's kind of like having the cover song be the third song on an album. It's like it's not the right place for that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with some silly Helloween songs, but not at track 3, please. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's some tracks on here that are simplistic in nature, kind of pop structured. You've got that song. You've got Hand of God, which I like that song as well. Tokyo, This is Tokyo, which they released as a lead-off single. Hearing this album, I know why now they released that song first, because it is very catchy. It's a very catchy song. It kind of displays the rock side, but yet it still sounds very much like Helloween. But I think the biggest change is the keyboards on here, like Alan pinpointed. And it isn't because the keyboards are there. It's because what they do to the guitars. You're listening to it in this production. You've got these awesome speed metal riffs happening and the twin lead guitar lines, and they put this organ sound in there. It kind of dulls the blade a little bit. It's an interesting idea that they did, and they went all in on it because it isn't on one or two tracks. I mean, there's numerous tracks that start off with a keyboard or an organ sound, and Kai's track. I think it's Kai's track. Where's the damn? That's not the one. We Can Be Gods. It's a great song, really aggressive lead-off riff. And then there's like this piano flourish in it that sounds, it's the same piano flourish that you hear on Dancing Queen by ABBA. I'm like, I heard it and I'm like, what the fuck did I just hear? And I like it. Of course, I like ABBA. I'm from the 70s. I like Kiss. I like ABBA. That's just the way that shit rolls. But it's weird. It's a weird inclusion to this, and I kind of applaud him for trying something different and saying we're all in on it. It's happening, and not just here. It's happening here, and here as well. But to me, compositionally, that kind of messed with my initial reaction to the album, because I was like, what? Ooh, I don't get it. This is a rock record. It doesn't sound like a power metal record. But as far as the songwriting goes, the bigger main tracks, the more speed metal, the more classic Helloween sounding tracks, they do what Helloween songs do. They lay down smart and sensible verses and choruses, and the music breaks, they go off into directions. They do stuff. They go on a bit of a journey, and I love that. And that's where the guitar solos come in. I mean, it's kind of their formula, but it's thankfully an interesting enough formula that it works every time. I'm a sucker for it. This one, you hear a lot more Queen. I hear a lot of Queen influences on here with the layered vocals, and but that's no secret to Gamma Ray or Helloween either. So, musicality and composition, it's another Helloween record with a few twists, and I'm fine with it. Like I said, I'm Team Jimmy here. The fact that the more I listen to this thing, it just dug its hooks in so deep. And the things that initially bugged me starting off, I don't want to skip any tracks when I'm listening to the album as a whole. But let's talk about the production. Mike, we'll start with you.
All right. So far, y'all. So I haven't been able to talk obviously to anybody about this album. So talking to y'all, it's helping me a lot, because I was just like, I can't figure out what it is about this that's bugging me. But y'all are making it very clear. It didn't even dawn on me that there wasn't enough guitar. The guitar parts are great, but there's not enough of it. So y'all are helping me a lot, because I've been arguing with myself for the past week. But production is one thing I was not arguing with myself about. I don't love the production. I'm sorry. I don't think it's heavy enough. And I even threw the last record back on, because I was like, am I bugging? Like, what's happening here? The last album just felt so thick and full. And Marty, when you're talking about how this feels big and more arena and more rock, yes. And that is what is bugging me about it. I don't really love that. When I'm listening to these fast, aggressive riffs, I don't want the balls removed. And I feel like maybe both balls were removed, but at least one of them was. So I know it's the same production team, and I think that it's odd that they made the guitars sound a little lighter. I'm not sure if that's
they're rounded off. They have a rounded off, a big, it's different. I don't know. It's weird.
It sounds like these songs, when you said arena, it sounds like, yeah, these songs are made for big arenas. And I never thought Scorpions until you said it, but I'm not a Scorpions guy. Don't hate me, Marty. But yeah, I get it. I get it. Now it's making a lot more sense. But yeah, when I put this on, the very first thing I thought was, I wonder if these MP3s have been compressed to shit, or if something's going on here, but I don't think that's the case. I think that they just wanted maybe a lighter sound. And I don't think it pays well for the guitars, but it makes sense that they would do it this way if they were trying to focus more on the keyboards and the flourishes and that kind of thing. So yeah, production is not bad. Everything sounds crystal clear and crisp. It's just, man, it's just not heavy enough for me for a power metal record.
All right, Jimmy. Yeah, I mean, I think I would echo that. I think that's kind of, it seems to be like that's what they were kind of going for. I mean, I didn't really have any problems with the production. I mean, I definitely thought I liked the production of the previous one more, but I think the production kind of lends itself to what they were going for here with the more kind of like rock based stuff. It sounds to me like, even though it's really produced and really big, it has a real 80s feel to me. Even in like the drum sound, like the drum sound has that, just the way the bass drums and the snare drums have that sort of resonance to it. I don't know. There's just like a, I'm not really, probably don't have the best terms for how to speak about production because I'm not a producer, but just the way, just what I'm hearing, the sound to it, I think that is kind of maybe something that sort of took away. I agree with the album is you're right. There are 3 guitar players and there's a lot of orchestration on this thing. There's a lot of keyboards, a lot of the piano stuff, and it does seem like they tried to really coalesce all that to the points where I felt like, wow, I can't believe I'm hearing a band, 7 members, and do they have a keyboard player now? I don't think they do. I think they probably just either hired somebody or maybe one of those guys did it all. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't really have too much to say about it other than it just feels like they it really kind of fits with what they were going for, especially like with the more cock rock side of the album. That's where the production kind of makes sense, right? It's got a really loud 80s feel to it. But I don't have a problem with it. I think it works pretty well for what they're going for. But it's not as heavy as you might want it to be, because it's not really like, I wouldn't call this a power metal record, really. It's really, to me, it's kind of really a rock record with some power metal and some speed stuff. But even in the drumming, like it's a bit subdued, I mean, this guy's a powerhouse drummer, and there's a lot of times where I'm waiting to hear like those big fills, and I know he's capable of it, like that old Uli Kush style stuff.
Yeah.
If you listen to his drumming on like, the Keeper Legacy record, I mean, there's times on there where he's just pulls out some really killer Uli Kush style stuff. And here, he's kind of just really in the pocket, just kind of keeping the beat, but yeah, I mean,
I will add, Jimmy, I saw an interview with him, and he said that for this record, they set up 3 separate drum kits.
Oh, really?
To record on. For the more speed metal songs, he recorded on a kit with a clickier bass drum. For the rockier songs, he went to that sounding kit. So there's like, the drum sound is kind of flows in and out differently depending on the track. So,
yeah, that's kind of an interesting.
It's an interesting approach. Uh-oh.
Obviously in those songs, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Ellen.
Everything Mike said about this production is correct. I'm not nuts about it either. It's not that it's a bad production. It, like Mike said, it just doesn't sound like it's heavy enough. And it is the same production team that Helloween used on the last album. It has used on other albums. And it's Charlie Baufiend. Charlie has a very long history of producing a ton of power metal bands, going way back into the 1990s. He produced like a lot of the Blind Guardian albums throughout the 90s. Blind Guardian's used him forever. A lot of bands have. But among a lot of older power metal fans, Charlie is a name that makes you kind of grit your teeth and cross your fingers, because unlike a lot of producers, he's never really had or developed a real consistent sound. So there are some albums he produces and they come out sounding brilliant. And it's just like, wow, this is an awesome, huge, amazing, big, full sound. And there are other power metal albums, and it can even be by the same band that he produces. And you're just like, dude, were you even in the control room? Did you just push buttons or something? Did your pet monkey get out of its cage and just start messing with the faders or some shit? Charlie's always been real hit or miss on productions. Now, yeah, maybe on this album, the band is asking for a different kind of delivery, given the nature of the material. That's possible. It's also possible this is just Charlie being Charlie, and it's one of those albums where he doesn't quite hit the mark. It's always been strange because he's worked with so many bands and done so many albums. I mean, if you scroll through his credentials on Metal Archives, I mean, it's big name bands. We're not talking demo projects or bands no one's ever heard of. He's done tons of albums for decades now. Any other producer I can think of that's been doing it that long, they eventually, have their sound. You kind of know what to expect when they're doing something. And you hear that Charlie's producing an album, and you're just like, I have no idea what the next one's going to sound like. I mean, I don't think any of his albums have ever sounded like crap. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to overblow it. But again, he is inconsistent as a producer, even in power metal and even with his repertoire. And that is not just my opinion. That is the opinion of other power metal fans I've talked to for decades. that you just never know what you're going to get with the guy. So in a way, I wasn't surprised that I ended up not liking the production a lot, because that's Charlie being Charlie, maybe. Again, it's not a horrible production whatsoever, but yeah, I just agree with Mike. I don't think it's great for this band or this particular album. It's not doing it any favors. I'll put it that way. Marty, you've hinted that you like the production quite a bit, so please, you can be the yum to my yuck. That didn't sound dirty, did it? It wasn't supposed to.
We've been friends long enough. It's all good. I like the production, and I had to grow to like the production once I understood what was going on. My first listen through this thing, the thing that really kind of threw me was you start getting into like music breaks where they haven't gotten to the twin lead lines. So first impression, I'm listening to this thing on headphones and I'm like, this, if I didn't know it was Helloween, it doesn't sound like Helloween. And I don't know exactly what, I can't really put my finger on there's a very tight sound to a Helloween sound. There's aggression in the guitars. There's, it's well produced, but it's like very tight and together. Like I said, this just has a big sound to it, and it messed with their tone a bit. He messed with the DNA of what the band sounds like, and multiple listens, you get used to the songs and the tracks. You hear the characteristics of all the players. You could tell it's Helloween. But like I said, first listen, there when you wander out of those areas where they're doing Helloween things, it's like I'm hearing these organs and synth, and I'm hearing this guitar sound that it sounds beefy and big and heavy, but it doesn't sound like Helloween. You know what I mean? And that threw me for a loop. And for that reason, I would say I would give the production a thumbs down. But getting used to the album and in the car, it sounds really big and full. I mean, it's a good sounding record. Some guy mastered it. He's done some big stuff. His list of credit, I can't remember, but like, wow, they got a guy doing that type of stuff. So you could tell that they were mixing it for a bigger theater, they wanted that bigger rock sound, and love it or hate it. That was my initial getting my head wrapped around it. Like I said, 4 or 5 listens before this thing clicked, but when the light switch was on, I didn't want to turn it off. Least favorite songs. Alan, we're going to start with you in mid drink there.
No problem. Let's see. Least favorite is a very easy one to identify. Just double checking the title. Under the Moonlight, track 9. I do not like this song. It has the kind of bouncy, silly kind of vibes. And again, Helloween's always done songs
it's
like that.
Dr. Steen, dude. Listen to it.
It is trying to be Dr. Steen, and it completely misses the mark, though, is the problem. And the biggest issue with it, besides being just a bad, sort of second-rate Dr. Steen, when you get to the chorus, it follows this very annoying pattern where they're going, under the moonlight. And the fact that that third note goes back up out of nowhere and then plummets right back down for the fourth note. It's like high, medium, low, high, low. This is like, it's a really jerky, annoying sound for a song that needs to be fun and bouncy and catchy to have any chance of getting over. Because when Helloween does the silly songs and they're bad, they really are bad. And every time I get to this song, I'm just like, oh God, here it comes. I'm just like, oh God, quit doing it. Who thought that was a good note to put right in the middle of that chorus line? Not having anything to do with it. I do not like that song. Worst one on the album for me. Best song, there's more competition for that. I would actually pick the closer, Majestic. The album does go out on a really good
it's a Kai song. Yep.
Longer, but yeah, and it does not surprise me that the Kai songs here are the stronger songs. That's something that is pretty dependable. Yeah, this one's a little bit longer. It's not like the Area 51 closer from the last album in terms of big epic length. But yeah, it's, a faster, more up-tempo song for most of it. Lots of good performances from everyone. It hits all the buttons. It's got some big kind of gamma ray feeling moments in it for sure,
Yep.
Which work really well since, of course, we don't have gamma ray around anymore so much. So yeah, I'll take Majestic. There are some other good ones on here. Yeah, again, while I'm maybe given the impression that I don't like the album, that's not the case. There are several really good songs on here. It's just that those are balanced by some very, very average to below average songs also. But yeah, let's say Majestic is my favorite, at least for tonight.
All right, Jimmy.
I kind of struggle with this a little bit because as I was like making notes for all the songs, I feel like it's like almost every track I put might be my favorite song on the album. So I don't know. It's really nothing bad on here for me. I would probably agree with Alan on Moonlight. It's a good song and it does give me the Dr. Stein vibes, which is cool. It felt like a throwback. But it just kind of felt like the one song that was a little just underdone in terms of like, I don't know if that was, intentional to kind of, because that was the first thing I thought when I heard that song was Dr. Stein. But I really, I'd probably put the cock rock songs probably on the low end as well. A little is a little too much, even though I really like that song a lot. I guess it just drew me in after a few listens. But as far as favorites, there's so many for me on this. But between Universe and Saviors,
song rips.
Universe is like a real classic. To me, just like probably one of the best, like real, power speed metal songs on the album. I love that. One of the things what Mike was talking about, he liked how like they were doing like the time changes and things, like some of the different ways that they would transition, like on some of the songs on the last record. I feel like you hear a lot of that in this song, because it has like that verse chorus in the beginning, and then it goes into that little breakdown in the middle, 3.5 minutes in. It's sort of transitions to this really faster tempo in the midsection, and then it goes into like that twin lead guitar part. It's just so killer, and Kiske just absolutely shines on that track. He just sounds so good. And then I just love Saviors of the World, because it's just, I love, like as I've talked about before, power metal is not like a huge thing for me, but I do really like it every now and then because it balances out a lot of the dark shit that I listen to. And I love that like just uplifting feeling of that track in a lot of ways, like, and it's kind of goofy to say, but it's almost like a song off those, one of the first 3 Sonata Arctica records. It just has that real uplifting, just melodic happiness to it, and it just does it for me. I absolutely love it. And then dude, like, man, I could talk about every song on here just being my favorite, but I really love We Could Be Gods as well. Those
Great
piano
song.
flourishes like really kind of,
That's another Kai song.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but like those piano flourishes at first kind of aggravated me, but I don't know, I kind of grew to like it a lot just because it's kind of over the top, and sometimes
It's a dancing queen.
Yeah, it's a little goofy and but it's just, man, I just love there's some really great choruses on this album, and I feel like all the the decisions they made for who sang what. I heard that I think it was Kiske in an interview was saying that, or maybe it was Darius was saying that this time they basically just both sang everything in the studio, and then they decided in post who was,
the producers did.
Yeah, but I feel like they really like captured the personality of each of those guys on these songs, because like, Tokyo sounds like a Darius song.
It is. He wrote it,
and it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But his voice, like the vocal, Universe, that feels like a Kiske song. I feel like they captured like what each singer feels like in the songs, and I thought that they did that really well on this album. But yeah, man, I just, it's hard to pick a favorite. I really love pretty much every song on here. So yeah.
All right, Mike.
All right. Time to upset folks. Let's start with the bad first. there were two songs fighting for least favorite, but I think the one that won out was Into the Sun. You can have that shit, dude.
I love it. I love that song.
You can live forever. No, dude. We
Dude, when
can't.
that chorus hits, it's very emotional. I dig it.
Oh, man.
That song was written for the self-titled album and got scrapped, and it should have stayed scrapped.
I didn't know that. That makes sense. I feel like Marty's gonna block me after this, but it was fighting with Hand to God for least favorite. And
It's your revenge after the At the Gates discussion.
You know what? I feel like I walked into this conversation being like, I love me some Helloween. They're one of the first like heavy metal bands that I really got into, but I'm not an expert the way you guys are. I would be way more comfortable and fitted better for a conversation about, say, At the Gates and Carcass. That would be way more my speed. But since I'm here, yeah, dude, these ballads, I can't fucking do it, man. I cannot do it. I feel like every time I hear these songs, I see some woman with a big poofy bouffanty thing and Kelly Kapowski jeans, and she's just like doing some like weird dance, and it's like, dude, get this shit off of here, man. Like, I want to fucking do this. I don't like, it's just, yeah. Anyway, like I said, getting the bad out of the way, because I'd much rather talk about the good. And oh my God, that shit is so good.
Oh, that's a banger.
So good.
Yeah.
And like Jimmy was talking about, the compositions on this song, fucking stellar. Like the way it slows down toward Jimmy or Marty, I can't remember which one of you guys said this. The way it slows down towards the three-quarter point, and even the mellow part here is great. But right after that weird chanty thing that they do, which still sounds great, it sounds like almost like some weird Manowar shit, but it worked. Right after that, some of the best guitar that's on the album.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely stellar. And yeah, it's Riff City, man. So yeah, that song I think is absolutely incredible. Yeah. There you go.
Good choices.
Good choices. I guess it's me. I messed with the run. I think it's my turn. Okay.
It's your turn. Yep.
Well, least favorite song, even though I ended up liking the song a bit, it's a little too much.
Yeah, that one's down there. Agreed.
Scorpions meets Kiss. The lyrics it's basically coming too fast during sex. But apparently there's other double meanings and shit here, but it's a fun song and it's a bit of a palate cleanse, I guess. But second least favorite song would be Moonlight. I'm there with you on that song. And in fact, I didn't even catch the Dr. Steen thing. I think Jimmy said, dude, it's Dr. Steen. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. Now I can't unhear it. It's almost the exact same melody line in the riff.
Yep.
I'm like, oh God, it's not even hiding it. But yeah, those two favorite, those two are my least favorites, 100%. But the strong songs on here are just they make this album so. Universe, Gravity for Hearts. It's a Sasha song. The guy's been with the band 20 years. He should know what band he's in, and he just nails the very essence of Helloween. Right, he nails it. Right, solid right away. It's just let me see here. Yeah, vibrant, sharp riffing. It locks in with a lot of twin guitar line moments. I love that. That's so Helloween. Kiske, his melody lines, they just soar on this, and as does the vigor in the way he attacks the lyric lines in the chorus. You really feel the power and passion in what he's saying. Yeah, the middle section has a little bit of a Queen meets Gamma Ray space thing going on with layered choir style accents in the vocals, flowing lead breaks. Yeah, I think it's one of the best tracks he's written for the band, other than in the last album session, he had that song Golden Times. It fits right alongside that song. That that was on the bonus disc, and shit, that song fucking rips too, and just great. I think Giants on the Run is an interesting leadoff track. It's a Darius song. I think he wrote most of it. I think Kai helped with the center part of it a bit. So it's cool to see, all these guys collaborating,
That was my runner-up. That song is it's a perfect opener, in my opinion.
Great.
It's so good.
And it's cool because you could tell it's an Andy song, but then he also kind of leads into the more speedy moments too. Because people, like Frank. Frank doesn't like his vocals. I love his vocals. I didn't when I was younger. I wanted Kiske forever, but I've since then come around, and he's just become such an important part of Helloween. And he's got such a unique voice. And his song, I guess he wrote like 11 songs for this session. I mean, holy crap, that's a lot. He's such a prolific writer, but it's really cool how he walked the line, with more of a commercial meets speed metal. It's a kind of a cool lead off track because it kind of tells you what this album has to offer a bit. Right away with the synth work is in there too, but this is a really good song. Savior of the World is a Viketh song. This sounds like a proper speed metal Helloween track. A lot of double bass on here. Fantastic energy and guitar work. Kiske's voice soars on it. The organ sound is utilized alongside the riffs. I wasn't expecting it, but get used to it because it happens a bunch here. But it does add a weird atmosphere and a little bit of depth. But it dulls the blade a bit on the guitar sound, but we've already talked about that. We Can Be Gods. That's another Kai song. It's an amazing Kai song. It's just such a ripper.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great lead-off riff, and he closes with that riff. It's great. And it's great to hear Kai. He's the lead-off scream on it too, and it's good to hear more Kai vocals mixed into this album. He's a great, unique singer. All three of these guys are. Can't help but hear a bit of Gamma Ray mixed into the middle section. Okay, Into the Sun. I listen to this song and I wish I could write a song this good. I do. I mean, I'm a death metal guy, whatever. I don't have the chops or the talent to write music like this, but
I'm glad you don't, Marty, because I like your songs.
It's a ballad, but it seems cheap to me to call it a ballad. It just, the verse lines leading up to the chorus might feel a bit weak, but I think that it makes sense when the chorus hits for the first time. It kind of hits on a weird beat, but when it hits, it's like such an emotional push right there. I think it's great. Then they add all these like orchestrated, like the key or the violins and shit. It's a smart, amazing, mature song. And yeah, Tokyo, I really was weird about the song when they launched it, but I ended up loving it. It's so catchy. How can you not? I already talked about Universe, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand of God, another Sasha song. Man, this one kind of threw me for a loop. It sounds like Andy wrote it, but Sasha wrote it for Andy. And it's just, although it's very poppy and it's got that prevalent synth line that kind of bouncy throughout it, it's a dark song, kind of talking about dying. And I think it's the song about resurrection. You get older, you start perseverating on dying more. And there's a lot of that kind of weaved into the songs on this record. But yeah, it's a cool song. It's a cool song, and Andy makes it sound like an Andy song. Best part of it, though, before the chorus comes back in to close the song, there is an amazing Kai lead line there. It's just like, holy shit. It just really piles into the dark, somber feel of the track, even though it has a poppy sound. And yeah, ending on Kai's track, Majestic. This is maybe Skyfall Jr. It's just a really well-written song. Written the way he did, speed metal, goes into weird music break that goes off, some Queen, some Gamma Ray, thoughtful, mature, great closing to an album that, yeah, which we're going to figure out here. Judgment, final thoughts. I think we know already where we all stand on this. We're going to go with Mike first.
Is this final thoughts?
Yep.
On the whole album? I like it. I don't love it. I don't know that I'm going to return to this. Certainly not the way I returned to the last one. I think this album is a bit too bright for me. At times, it might be a little too happy sounding, which Marty, we've had conversations about power metal. That's always been my issue with power metal. It's too
Well, that's
fucking
kind
happy.
of the fundamental
I
core of
know.
power metal.
I know.
You're not gonna get yeah.
You're not gonna get super dark, evil, sad power metal. It just
The
doesn't
core
happen.
tenet of power metal is happy.
But yeah, it's a bit too happy for a miserable person like me. So it's still a great record. Like I said earlier, I really don't see someone that's a Helloween fan, because I've seen a lot of comments where people are like, oh, I'm regretting pre-order. Don't regret your pre-order.
Don't.
If you are a Helloween fan, you will absolutely love this album.
Oh yeah.
I think this is just a me and Alan thing. I love me some Helloween, but I just don't love this album. Now, anytime I give a negative review of something, I want to be where Marty and Jimmy are at. I do. I never want to hear an album and be like, God, this sucks. Ha ha ha, this sucks. No, I want to hear it and be like, damn, this shit's awesome. There's a very high likelihood that, say, November, December of 2032, I might be like, this album is incredible. But for right now, I don't see myself throwing this on a whole bunch. But for a Helloween album, it's still good stuff.
Right on. Jimmy, thoughts?
Yeah, I absolutely love this record. And I totally see what Mike and Alan are saying. I can
Sure.
totally see their perspective on that, because in a lot of ways, I think there are going to be people that think that as well, especially like people that have been really long into this band. That if you've been into this band for a long time, the elements that you really love about the band versus the ones that you don't. And I think that they've often flirted with both over their career,
Absolutely.
And I think this record has definitely brought back some of the more, some of the things that people may not like about it, and that makes total sense, and even like for me, I mean, like, it was definitely a grower. I listened to a lot, the last couple of weeks, and, I think I spun it twice today, and I just couldn't get enough of it, and I was just loving it more and more every time I listened to it. And I think, at the end of the day, for me, it's about melody, and it's about hooks and earworms when it comes to this kind of stuff. And for me, this album is chock full of that. And another thing that I really connected with on this album that we didn't really talk about too much, and I want to say like connect completely, but lyrics isn't really something that I usually pay too much attention to when it comes to music, mostly because most of the bands I listen to, you can't understand what the fuck they're saying anyway. But nor
do you want to know what they're saying.
Nor do you want to know anyway. Yeah, exactly. And
Better
with
that
this
way.
with the promo on this, we didn't actually get the lyric sheet, but I kind of make things, and obviously a lot of what they're saying you can pretty much understand. And there is a lot of like sort of I don't know if these guys are Christians or whatever it is, and there's a little bit of that, but I like that it's not too much in your face. It seems like it's more like personal to them, especially like with Hand of God, Andy singing that track, and a lot of that is kind of devoted, I think, to their faith and whatnot. But there's certain moments like in the lyrics that just kind of like resonated with me in terms of like these guys' age and like where they're at in life. And I don't know, I kind of connected with that a little bit, just, getting close to my 50s and like seeing my parents' age and kind of just, getting older and feeling, how important that is, how, valuable life is because it's so short. And I think that a lot of that kind of shines through in the lyric content, especially even just like the ballad, just that one line where he says nothing is forever. And I don't know, it's just the way that they say it in the song. It just kind of really gave me goose flesh in a lot of ways, because it's so true. It's just like, and I don't remember, I couldn't like make out what he was saying like before and after that verse, but it's just very well put in a way that kind of gave me the feels, I guess. Nothing is forever. And and I think these guys are kind of letting that shine through a bit. But and as a guy that, as I said before, that I'm not an expert on the band by no means either. I've still got a lot of albums that I need to catch up on, but I've known enough and listened to them enough. I've got to see them live a couple of years ago, which was amazing.
They're great. Good.
So good. And I hope that they come back to Denver this time around when they come back to the States. But you know, I just it's one of those records that just kind of came around when I needed it, and I think maybe that's why I you know, it resonated so much for me. But and as Mike said, you know, I mean, I think everybody's going to have different feelings on this one for sure. But I think Mike's right that if you're into this band, you're not going to regret your pre-order. Don't do that. There are going to be songs that you really love on this album. Even if you don't like the production and you don't like the direction of some of the cock rock kind of stuff. Personally, I love it, but that's just me, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's a great new Helloween record, and it's interesting that Kiske was talking about. I think they wrote like 30 songs in this session, and they just had so much shit that they just picked whatever ones for this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a follow up pretty quickly. But
they said they could touch it up and have another album ready to go in a quick amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the thing with this one, is the pacing for me worked. I liked the variety. I liked the length. It was a little bit more of a shorter statement than the last record. It felt to me very honest as an album, because like it feels to me like they're not trying to prove anything. They're just, this is the stuff that they put out that they seem to really love and connect with. And I love that. So yeah, a great record for me. And yeah, I absolutely love it.
Where's my Jimmy +1 sign? Damn it. I should have been crafting away over here. Alan.
All right. Several things to kind of touch base here on. To Mike's point that, yeah, I agree. This, it's not that it's happy sounding that's bothering me, but it really isn't quite powerful enough for me. Power metal even, can be happy, but it can still come across and like with a powerful delivery and kick a lot of ass. And this album struggles to do that. And I've been in kind of a power metal, traditional metal mood lately. Just a couple of other examples. I mean, earlier this year, Marty, you sent this to me. I've been playing a lot this week. I mean, this Owlbearer band, goofy name and such, but I mean, it absolutely smokes. It blisters. It's every song. It's not like every third song. It's like every song.
Holy crap, that looks amazing.
Ass kicking. Owlbear, yeah, kind of goofy. Obviously a D&D reference.
Lady singer, she's really, really awesome. Yeah,
mostly a female lineup to the band, but it just absolutely kicks ass. Same. This came out last year. Y'all did this on Album Club a while back. By Fire,
Album rules.
Glory.
Fuck that album rules.
Every song is just they're kind of happy, goofy songs, but they're really kick-ass, powerful songs. With this album, you're getting a very quick run through the track list, not to belabor the point. Giants on the Run, for me, it's an average song, has some good parts, has some parts I'm not nuts about, but average, not bad. Savior of the World is a good speedy number. Then you get to the kind of silly, a little is a little too much. Right away, again, Letting the Air of the Balloon on track 3. Track 4, We Can Be Gods, terrific song. Then Into the Sun. This is the best ballad Nightwish wishes they had written. Enough said. And it's followed up by the kind of poppy rock song, This Is Tokyo, which is not a bad song. But, we're on track 6, and I've already got 3 songs that are listed as either silly, ballad, or pop. That's not a good ratio. Then track 7, Universe. Great track. You all highlighted it, as you should.
Yeah.
And it's followed up by Hand of God, which is really average. It's
weird, but it's I
bad, but it's not great. Then track 9, you're trying to gear up for the big finale, and you've got Under the Sun, which it wishes it was Dr. Stein, and completely misses. And then you do at least go out, with a really strong song in Majestic. What the math boils down to for me is there's 4 songs on this album I think are really great. There are 4 songs on this album I could do without, and there are 2 average ones in between. And so that's just, not a killer ratio, really, when 40% of the album are tracks that you're like, mid to thumbs down on. So that's, one issue. But yes, as, both Mike and Jimmy have said, it is a Helloween album. It's got 4 extremely good songs on it. It's not crap. It's not a junk album. It's just a really inconsistent album for me. It's not the first time Helloween's released an inconsistent album. Some folks have, asked in the chat, do we think this one will grow on us or stuff like that? And like Jimmy noted that, yeah, it's grown on him a lot, and that's great. This album has not grown on me with extra listens. I've played it a lot the past couple of weeks. And when after that initial listen, when I realized that, it's like, there seem to be some songs on here that aren't clicking. I started tracking my opinion on each track by track, not just the album overall. And all these tracks very quickly just kind of fell into their place and stayed there. It wasn't like Hand of God started out kind of weak sauce, but after 5 or 6 listens, I got it. It's just like, nah, I thought this was a mid song to begin with. 10 listens later, I still think it's a very mid song. The bangers is like, hey, Universe is fantastic on play 1, and it still sounds fantastic on play 10. This is not an album that's growing on me whatsoever. This album quickly fell into place and has stayed there. I think the last point I want to make is, as far as the longevity of this album, maybe in the future it starts to click more. It's got an uphill battle just within the Helloween catalog itself. Like you said in the intro, Marty, this is their 17th album. I can show you right now 7 albums by Helloween that this album is never, ever, 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 ever going to surpass. At best, this album can hope to be my 8th most favorite Helloween album. I can show you 4 more albums that it could end up behind. It may be behind this, and this, and this, and this. So
those are all bangers.
Exactly. So, and again, it's not that this is a bad album, but this could very easily end up being like the 12th best Helloween album, in my opinion. So it's certainly not their worst. There are solid 5 albums I would rank below this. I don't think it's going to fall into the bottom 4 or anything. But when exactly am I going to be in a mood to hear Helloween and I feel like I want to hear the 12th best Helloween album on the shelf? That's the problem I run into, kind of going back to your original question about these legacy bands. How well do they kind of hold up and keep putting out really banger albums? They compete with themselves so much that it's really hard for the new albums to ever surface very often, because the rest of their catalog's so good. A band like Testament, Creator, Destruction, they're all in the same exact boat. They can put out a really good album this year, and it kind of doesn't matter because it just gets lost in their own discography, much less the greater discography of their genre or heavy metal. This is not a bad power metal album. I'd say, this is an okay power metal album, but it's going to get lost in the Helloween discography, and it's going to get eclipsed by better albums, by better band, by better albums, by up and coming bands or other veteran bands. And so I don't know when I'm going to return to this. Like Mike said, I just don't see this being a long-term, visitor to my stereo system. I think I've played it a lot. You and Jimmy both said, you've been playing it and still playing it and love it. And that is awesome. I'm really glad you guys enjoy it a lot. I'm sorry to kind of yuck your yum. For me, I've played this album, like I said, probably about 10 times. I don't want to play it again. I feel like I've played this enough. I know my thoughts on it. I do not feel the need to keep spinning this one. It's plateaued. It's where it's going to be. I'll probably come back to it in a few months, give it another spin here or there. This is not an album that's going to get long-term play from me. It's just not strong enough within their own catalog to get those extra plays. So again, it's an okay album. 4 really fantastic songs, but 4 songs that are not so fantastic, and 2 that are in between. That's this album wrapped up for me. Sorry to take a little extra time there.
Oh, it's all right.
Marty, let's end this on a positive note with a positive attitude from you.
And really, my first listen through this, I was kind of leaning to what Mike and Alan think on this. But the more I sat with it and spun it and got used to it, got over my hurdle with the weirdness of the sound. And by saying weird, I'm saying it doesn't sound bad, people. This is a big sounding, rock sounding album. I fell in love with it, and the more I listen to it, the more I love it. Even the songs, Little is a Little Too Much, still appreciate it when it spins through. I don't want to skip anything, but when it's done, I want to listen to it again. And I'm a little bit more forgiving than Alan on some of the Helloween discography, some of the sillier songs towards the end of the track listing on some of the albums that we've talked about here in the past. I like them. Like anything my mama don't like, I like that song. Even though it's a cheesy, weird song. I love that song. It's a good song.
Follow you there, my friend.
I know.
Not on that one.
It's just the fact that I love all the elements. I love the guitar playing. I love their songwriting style. The voices singing, they're all unique in their own way, and they all sound fantastic. And yeah, this is an album for me that grew a lot, and I love it. I love it. And the more I spin it, the more I'm going to, I can't wait. I can't wait to get the copies that I bought. And again, if you're a Helloween fan and you hear some of this and you're thinking, oh, maybe I regret my pre-order, don't. If you're a Helloween fan, you're going to like the record, I think. Yeah. It's going to be because the last album, I had to grow into that one too. That was just a lot to process. It was so complex, and knew anything. If you want to really spend the time and get to know it, you need to invest some time in it. And that's one thing that we don't do much anymore in this day of modern music. You could all turn off your cable, because 90% of us sit on the toilet or sit in our chair. I'll have the TV running and I'll be going through shorts or reels on YouTube, and I won't even watch a full 30-second clip. That's how bad it's gotten for me. It's like, oh, I feel satiated after this or that. And invest the time and listen to this record. There's a lot of great stuff on it, and I can't wait to hear the other tracks they've written for it. And yeah, me and Jimmy, Wonder Twin powers activate. But that's it. And guys, thanks for getting together to do this. I'm glad we did a little sooner than later, because they've been dropping a lot of press lately, and they are actually launching their next single and video tomorrow, I think at noon or midnight tonight, maybe, for Universe, Gravity for Hearts, which is the best ripping song on the album. That song it's fantastic. If you hear that and you don't like that song, then yeah, maybe you don't like Helloween so much, but good stuff. And yeah, links in the description to Helloween. They're gearing up for a tour of Europe for their 40-year anniversary. They're coming to the US apparently in April next year. Link to Raining Phoenix to go pre-order the album, and links to all these fine gentlemen's YouTube pages. If you are not subscribed to any of them, you need to fix that and go do that and be made informed of a bunch of killer music. So yeah, anybody have anything to add before we jump?
No, it's been fun talking to you. I think we had some good different opinions. We
Yeah.
can certainly respect everyone's opinions on it. And yeah, again, in closing, even though I've been probably the most down on the album, it is not a bad album. It's just not one of the stronger Helloween albums, in my opinion. But you folks check it out. And I hope folks that check it out really, really do enjoy it. For sure.
At least it's better than Senjutsu.
That's not hard.
Here's the bar. Jimmy clears the bar very easily.
Right on.
All
right,
compared
folks.
to that, it's Sergeant fucking Peppers.
Well, one little show note. Tomorrow night, we're having our little Ozzy tribute / memorial. We got Logan.
We just invited a lot of friends.
A lot of friends. Yep.
Heavy Metallurgy to come on and just share thoughts, memories, favorite songs by Ozzy. It's going to be relatively unstructured. Some folks may have to bail early. If some folks have to join a little later, that's okay too. But I just wanted to give everyone time, an opportunity to talk about that with other folks, because it's obviously a huge deal in our particular world of music.
Right on. So, for those of you interested, we'll see you tomorrow night. And cheers. Have a good night. See you later. Happy Halloween.